From time to time, especially when there is a fear of a global epidemic, the question arises, what is the risk of flying in terms of contracting the disease? This video was made in the midst of the corona pandemic that began in late 2019, causing a dramatic halt in flights around the globe with a gradual recovery, alternating between different regions in the world. Before we delve deeper into the subject, it is important to understand that an in-depth study conducted in 2020 by United States Transportation Command and Military Agency for Advanced Research Projects, or DARPA for short, researchers showed that 99.99% of airborne particles are filtered out of a passenger compartment, thanks to the special ventilation and robust filtration systems installed in the aircraft. We will return to this study later, but let's review the course of the flight and the stages in which we are in possible danger as it relates to a pandemic.
Very quick flight time, 6 hours and 20 minutes or so to London.
Our first encounter with the flight happens at the airport. Significant changes have been introduced in various airports around the world that have greatly increased safety. Some of these are mask enforcement, reduction in the density of people at the airport, and protective and disinfection measures to be greatly increased. I will not go into the variety of measures that have been taken at the various airports, but it is important to emphasize for your own safety, you must always wear a mask, avoid crowds of people, do not touch surfaces with bare hands, use disinfectant. All of these, along with airport procedures, will ensure that your stay at the airport will be much safer than any other public place. We are about to get on a plane, whether it is through a gate, portal, or by bus. So remember again to avoid crowding and try to keep distances. We're now on the plane. What are the chances that during a flight, which may be long, we will be exposed to the coronavirus? The prevailing misconception is that because the plane is an enclosed space where hundreds of people stay for a long time, along with the air standing still without changing, then we were at a high risk of infection, as all of the bacteria celebrate. As we learned and understood in the previous lesson about planes, the air in a plane does not remain, but constantly changes. We breathed some air which came from the outside, as well as some that stayed in the plane and was filtered and returned to us. Infection happens by direct contact with the diseased bacteria. With air coming from the outside, the chances of this air containing any bacteria are extremely low. However, on a crowded plane, despite all the pre-flight checks, there may be some passengers or crew members who are ill.
So what is the risk of contracting the disease? Well, a study conducted in the United States, which lasts about 6 months, 300 tests were performed with over 38 hours of flight and 45 hours of ground time. Each test was performed by releasing 180 million particles, which is equivalent to the number of particles caused by thousands of coughs. The result shows that even when sitting with a mask, only 0.003% of particles make their way from one passenger breathing in the same environment to one sitting in the neighboring seat. More than 99.99% of the particles were filtered out of a passenger compartment thanks to fast airflow, efficient ventilation, and robust filtration system installed in the aircraft. From all of this, it can be understood that even if a sick passenger sits right next to us, the risk is low in contracting the disease. Also, we can know that masks do help to minimize exposure. In any case, if you are not sitting right next to a sick person, the chance, in my estimation, is much lower than the chance of contracting the disease in a restaurant, movie, or any gathering that takes place indoors. So as we sit on a plane, the goal is to get through the flight without risking illness. The name of the game here, as in all other areas, is 1. Keeping as far away as possible from others. 2. Protection. 3. Maintaining hygiene. Distance is dictated quite a bit by your seat, of course. If you're in a business class or other luxury seats, you're likely to be further away from other travelers. Sitting by a window ensures that at least on one side of your seat will be no other passenger. In some cases, airlines choose to leave empty seats from the beginning on their own initiative, so that they don't have to sit passengers next to each other at all. A protective mask provides us with a final layer of protection against getting infected. When going to the bathroom, be sure to avoid contact with surfaces as much as possible. It is highly recommended to use protective gloves, but if you can't, just disinfect your hands after any such contact. The corona period has forced us to face significant challenges. As always, the world of aviation takes significant measures to ensure that even in this new era, you will be safer on the plane than in most other places in your life. Adherence to the usual protective measures and rules of conduct will allow us to fly clean and safe from disease.
And secondly, once the meal service is finished, I'm sure you'll try and get some sleep over the course of the flight. So